Alright, so the first thing we want to do now that we have our leg prepped and ready is we want to create some bones like we saw before that are going to control the movement of our leg here for the spider. And if you want to, the best thing to do is go ahead and set this to our rigging menu and then select on the rigging tab. And then what we can do is go into our joint and create some joints that mimic the position of our leg. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here, and if you left click and you can't see it and it makes it kind of hard of like, well, where exactly is that, then the best thing to do is turn on your x-ray mode, and let's do our shading. Let's see if we can get to the right one. Let's do our x-ray here. There we go, and that way we can see through the model as we go. So I'm going to left click in there, we can see the joint placed. And I'm just going right for the centers of each one of these because that's really the rotation point. That's where it's happening. Alright, so that gives us all the points that we need. And we can hit enter on the keyboard and that'll end our creation. And if we select on that first piece like it's got it, we can see that we can left click and drag it up and down. The other thing is to note is that if I select on this one, I'm actually just selecting on this one. I'm not selecting on all of them. So the best way to see that is with the outliner. So we're going to go to our window, we're going to go to the outliner, and in the outliner it's going to give us sort of the hierarchy of the objects, the relationship between them. So if I go to my joint, I can see that if I open this one up, even though everything sort of looks like it's highlighted, I'm only selecting on the parent joint here. So I have a parent and then I have the children underneath it. If I were to select on the next one, it'll be the joint 2, the joint 3, and so on. Now if I want to select on all of them, I actually do need to select on all of them, and if we go in here and shift click, we can see that we can select them all as the main selection is the source selection, which comes in as white. And if we just simply select on the individual, you can see how it goes through. Now in each one of the joints can be moved around. If I left click and drag, I can move it around. I can also use my rotation and rotate from that joint. If I move back one joint and rotate, it's going to rotate from that point and then those forward. So that gives us the basic controls that we need for the bones and for positioning them where we want them. The other option that we have too, we can of course scale these up and down. Let's say for instance I'm on this one and I want to scale it up. I can left click and scale. It's going to scale just along this one bone. If I were to select all the bones at one time and then make a scale, I can scale all the bones at one time. So it just depends on either the local selection or the group selection. And you can also change the visual state of these if you want to increase or decrease simply the size of the bone item that you're seeing right in here. We can change the radius right in here in on the channel box, so you can increase or decrease this value like so. For us, the default value is going to work just fine. Okay, so that's going to give us the basic layout for that. We've got some control on it. Let's go ahead and move our object back into position. I'm just going to Control Z back down so that we have it planted nice and evenly right here in the center point of the model. Now we have it right here. Let's double check that we're also where we want it from a top view. So if we go into here, we can see that we're nice and even through the center of this one. That's just what we want. And the next thing that we want to do, that we've got the bones placed in the way we want them, we want to go ahead and move these. If we think about animating right now, we would have to do a lot of clicking and moving and clicking to get something where we want it if we have to click per bone. So what we want to do is set up some controllers to make it a little more natural, so that we can grab on the foot and move the foot, or we could grab on the body and move the body around, and everything would respond accordingly. So we'll set that up next.